September 14th, 2023. Brooklyn, New York. Maya Chen was 23 years old when she stepped off the Greyhound bus at Port Authority. She had $847 in her checking account, a duffel bag full of clothes, and a dream that thousands of young women had carried to New York before her. She wanted to model. She wanted to act. She wanted to be someone. What she didn't know was that she had exactly 9 days left of normal life. Maya had grown up in Columbus, Ohio, the daughter of immigrant parents who ran a small dry cleaning business. She'd been the pretty girl in high school, the one people said should be on TV. After 2 years at community college studying communications, she'd finally worked up the nerve to leave. She called me the night before she left, recalled her mother, Susan Chen. She was so excited, so full of hope. I told her to be careful. I told her New York was different. Maya had done her research. She'd saved money, found a sublet in Bushwick through a Facebook group, and created accounts on all the modeling portfolio sites. She knew the city would be tough. She knew she'd probably waitress for a while, maybe work retail. But she also knew she had to try. The sublet was a converted living room in a 3-bedroom apartment shared by 4 other people. The walls didn't reach the ceiling. She could hear everything. But it was affordable, and her roommates seemed nice enough. One of them, Jade Martinez, was also trying to break into modeling. Maya was sweet, Jade remembered. Really naive about the industry, though. She thought if you were pretty and worked hard, that was enough. For the first week, Maya pounded the pavement. She went to open casting calls where hundreds of girls showed up for 3 spots. She uploaded her photos to modeling sites using snapshots her friend had taken back in Ohio. She applied to restaurants and retail stores, handing out her resume on heavy cardstock she'd had printed at FedEx. The rejections piled up. The open calls were brutal. The restaurant managers looked at her resume with 2 years of community college and coffee shop experience, and barely tried to hide their disinterest. By the end of week 2, her savings had dropped below $600. That's when she got the message. It came through Model Mayhem, one of the portfolio sites where she'd posted her amateur photos. The sender's profile looked professional. His name was David Reichert, 47 years old, based in Manhattan. His portfolio showed editorial work, magazine spreads, professional headshots. He had over 200 positive reviews from models he'd worked with. "Saw your profile," the message read. "You have a unique look, very commercial. I'm booking for a fitness campaign shoot next week. Pays $500 for 4 hours. Interested?" Maya stared at her phone. $500. For 4 hours. That would buy her another month in New York, maybe 2 if she was careful. She clicked through his portfolio again. The photos looked legitimate. Professional lighting, real models, actual published work. She read through the reviews. David was super professional. "Great experience, highly recommend." Paid exactly what he promised. She wrote back within 10 minutes. "Definitely interested. What details do you need from me?" His response came fast. "Perfect. Can you do next Tuesday, September 26th? 2 p.m. My studio is in Red Hook. I'll send you the address. Bring athletic wear, sneakers, a few different sports bra and legging combinations, natural makeup, hair in a ponytail." "This is exactly what I was hoping for," Maya texted Jade that night. "A real photographer, real money. This is how it starts." Jade was less enthusiastic. "Did you reverse image search his photos? Did you ask for references? Did you Google his studio?" Maya had done none of those things. She did them now, sitting on her mattress on the floor. David Reichert's photos appeared on several legitimate photography sites. His studio address, pulled up a commercial building in Red Hook, a neighborhood she knew was full of artists and photographers. She found his business license registered with New York State. She found a website for Reichert Photography with a professional portfolio and contact information. Everything checked out. "I'm being careful," she texted Jade. "I promise." "Just tell me where you're going," Jade wrote back, "and check in every hour." The next few days crawled by. Maya bought new athletic wear at Target, spending money she didn't have. She practiced poses in the mirror. She researched fitness modeling, watching YouTube videos about how to flex properly, how to angle your body, what expressions to make. On September 25th, the day before the shoot, David sent her another message. "Looking forward to tomorrow. One thing, I usually have my assistant there, but she's sick. You okay with it being just us? Totally understand if you want to reschedule." Maya hesitated. She knew the smart thing was to postpone, but she also knew she needed that money, and everything about him seemed legitimate. "That's fine," she wrote back. "I'll be there at 2. "Perfect," he responded. "See you then." That night, Maya couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about the portfolio she'd have after this. Real professional photos. Something she could actually show agencies. Maybe this was the break she needed. Maybe this was how it really started for people. She never imagined she'd be fighting for her life less than 24 hours later. September 26th arrived with clear skies and comfortable temperatures. Maya took the subway to Brooklyn, then a bus toward Red Hook. The neighborhood was industrial, lots of warehouses and converted factory buildings. Exactly what she'd expected for a photography district. The address David had given her was a 3-story brick building near the waterfront. No sign on the outside, but that wasn't unusual for studio spaces. She texted Jade, "Here, building looks legit. I'll check in at 3. She climbed the stairs to the second floor and found Unit 2C. The door was unmarked, but had a ring doorbell. She pressed it. David answered within seconds. "Maya?" "That's me." The door opened. David Reichert looked exactly like his photos. Tall, fit, salt and pepper hair cut short. He wore expensive-looking jeans and a black t-shirt. His smile was warm and professional. Come in," he said, stepping aside. "Sorry about the mess. We're between shoots this week." The studio space was large and open. White walls, concrete floors, professional lighting equipment set up in one corner. There was a changing screen, a rolling rack of clothes, a desk with 2 monitors showing photo editing software. Everything looked exactly like she'd seen in behind-the-scenes videos. "You want some water? Coffee?" David asked. "I've got both." "Water would be great," Maya said. Her mouth was dry. He walked to a small kitchen area and pulled a bottle from the fridge. He handed it to her, still sealed. "So, the concept today is pretty straightforward. We're shooting athletic looks for a supplement company. Nothing too posed. They want it to look natural." "You brought different outfits?" Maya held up her bag. 3 different combinations. "Perfect. Why don't you change behind the screen? And we'll start with whatever you're most comfortable in." Maya went behind the changing screen and switched into her first outfit. Black leggings, royal blue sports bra. She checked herself in the mirror propped against the wall. She looked good, fit, professional. When she stepped out, David was adjusting the lighting. "Great," he said, barely looking up. "Stand on that mark there, the white X on the floor. Let's get your levels right." He spent the next 15 minutes adjusting lights, taking test shots, checking his camera screen. Everything felt professional, normal. He gave clear direction without being creepy. Chin up slightly, left foot forward, flex your arms a bit. Perfect. You're a natural, he said after about 20 minutes. Really, you have good instincts for this. Maya felt herself relax. This was fine. This was good. This was exactly what it was supposed to be. Let's take 5, David said. You want something to drink? I've got some protein shakes here that the brand sent over. Vanilla and chocolate? Sure, Maya said. Vanilla's good. He walked back to the kitchen area and returned with a bottle. The seal was broken, but he took a sip from it first. Just making sure it's not expired, he said with a laugh. These companies send me so much free stuff. Maya drank. It tasted fine, normal. Maybe a little bitter, but protein shakes always tasted a bit off to her. They went back to shooting. David had her try different poses, different angles. He showed her some of the shots on his camera screen. They looked great, actually great. Professional quality. You're going to have an amazing portfolio after this, he said. I can already tell. Maya felt a surge of validation. This was it. This was the moment her life changed. Then she felt dizzy. It was subtle at first, just a slight wobble when she shifted her weight. She blinked, trying to clear her head. You okay? David asked. Yeah, just, I don't know. Lightheaded. Low blood sugar, maybe. Here, sit down. He guided her to a chair near the desk. Take a minute. Maya sat. The dizziness got worse. The room started to swim slightly. I don't feel right, she said. Her tongue felt thick. You probably need food, David said. His voice sounded far away. When did you eat last? Maya tried to remember. Breakfast? Had she eaten breakfast? The room was spinning now. She gripped the arms of the chair. Something's wrong, she managed to say. I need to. The world tilted. She tried to stand, but her legs wouldn't support her. She fell back into the chair. Her vision was blurring at the edges. Hey, just breathe, David's voice said. He sounded calm. Too calm. You're fine. Just a little panic attack, maybe. But Maya knew this wasn't a panic attack. This was something else. Something bad. She tried to reach for her phone in her bag. Her arms felt like they weighed 100 pounds each. Everything was moving in slow motion. What did you? She tried to say, but the words came out slurred. The last thing she saw before everything went black was David's face. He wasn't smiling anymore. His expression was neutral, clinical, like he was watching an experiment play out exactly as planned. Shh, he said softly. Just let it happen. Then nothing. Maya woke up in absolute darkness. Her head pounded, her mouth tasted like metal and chemicals. She tried to move and realized her hands were bound behind her back. Zip ties, cutting into her wrists. Her ankles were bound too. She was lying on cold metal. The surface beneath her was ridged, industrial. The air smelled like rust and seawater. Panic hit her like a physical blow. She screamed, or tried to. Something was stuffed in her mouth, held in place by tape. The sound came out muffled, useless. Where was she? What happened? She forced herself to breathe through her nose. Slow breaths. Don't hyperventilate. Don't panic. Think. Her eyes adjusted slowly. There was a tiny bit of light coming from somewhere above her. A crack, maybe, or a gap in whatever space she was in. As her vision adapted, she could make out the shape of her prison. Metal walls. Corrugated sides. About 8 feet wide, maybe 20 feet long. The ceiling was low, maybe 7 feet high. There was nothing else in the space except her and the clothes she was wearing. Still in her athletic wear from the shoot, a shipping container. She was in a shipping container. No, she tried to say through the gag. The sound was pathetic. How long had she been out? Hours? Days? Where was this container? Still in the studio building? Somewhere else? Was she even in New York anymore? She tested the zip ties on her wrists. They were tight, professional grade. She twisted her hands, trying to find any give. Nothing. The plastic cut deeper into her skin. Maya's training as a community college student felt laughable now. She'd taken one self-defense class freshman year. She'd watched crime documentaries. She'd always thought she'd be smarter than the victims. She'd always thought she'd see it coming. She hadn't seen anything. She thought about Jade waiting for her to check in. Had she called yet? Had she called the police? What address had Maya even given her? The studio in Red Hook. Would the police find anything there? Or had David cleaned it up already, erased all evidence she'd ever been there? The container suddenly shuddered. A loud mechanical sound, like metal grinding against metal. Maya's stomach dropped as she felt movement. The whole container was being lifted, shifted, moved. She was being transported somewhere. She screamed again into the gag, thrashing against the zip ties. The plastic cut into her wrists, drawing blood. She didn't care. She kicked her bound legs against the metal floor, making as much noise as she could. The movement stopped. Everything went still. Then she heard voices. Male voices, speaking a language she didn't recognize. Russian, maybe, or Ukrainian. The words were muffled through the metal walls. Someone banged on the side of the container, once, twice, 3 times. Then silence. Then the voices moved away. Maya lay in the darkness, bleeding and terrified, and understood with absolute clarity that she might die here, in this metal box, alone, and no one would know what happened to her. Detective Sarah Morrison, NYPD Missing Persons, was assigned to Maya's case when Jade Martinez reported her missing that evening. Recalled the officer who would later break the case. In my 20 years on the force, I've seen a lot of these modeling scam cases. But this one was different. This guy was too organized, too professional. He'd been doing this for a while. Jade Martinez had started calling Maya's phone at 3:15 p.m., exactly 1 hour and 15 minutes after Maya had texted from outside the studio. The first 3 calls went to voicemail. By the 4th call at 3:30, Jade was pacing her apartment. I knew something was wrong, Jade later told investigators. Maya was obsessive about checking in. She would have texted me even if the shoot was running long. That's just who she was. By 4 p.m., Jade had called the studio number listed on David Reichert's website. It rang twice and went to a generic voicemail. No name, no business greeting. Just a beep. At 4:30, she called 911. The dispatcher was polite, but not particularly concerned. Adult missing for 2.5 hours? Probably just a phone dying or running late. They took the information, but made no promises about response time. Jade wasn't satisfied. She called Maya's mother in Ohio. Susan Chen got on the next available flight to New York, not caring that it cost $700 she didn't have. At 6 p.m., Jade grabbed 2 of their other roommates and took the subway to Red Hook herself. They found the building at the address Maya had given. The street-level door was locked. They pressed every buzzer until someone let them in. Unit 2C on the 2nd floor was empty. Completely empty. No furniture, no equipment, no sign anyone had been there recently. Just bare white walls and dirty concrete floors. The smell hit me first, Jade recalled. Bleach. The whole place reeked of bleach. Someone had scrubbed that room clean very recently. They called 911 again from inside the empty studio. This time, the dispatcher took them more seriously. Detective Sarah Morrison caught the case at 7:45 p.m. She met Jade and the roommates at the Red Hook building and immediately knew they were dealing with something worse than a missed connection. An empty room that smelled like industrial cleaner? That's consciousness of guilt right there, Morrison said. Someone knew we'd come looking and wanted to make sure we found nothing. Morrison ran the address. The building was owned by a holding company. Unit 2C was listed as vacant, available for lease. There was no record of anyone named David Reichert renting it. No lease agreement, nothing. She ran the name David Reichert through NYPD databases. 3 matches in New York State, none matching the age or description. She checked the photography website Jade had pulled up on her phone. The domain had been registered 2 months earlier through a privacy service. The business license number was fake. Everything about him was constructed, Morrison explained. The website, the reviews, the portfolio. He'd built an entire fake professional identity specifically to lure young women. Morrison pulled the Model Mayhem messages between Maya and David. The account had been created 6 months earlier. It had sent messages to 47 different women in that time. Most hadn't responded. A few had responded, but ultimately declined. Maya was the 8th woman who had agreed to meet him. That meant there were 7 others. Morrison immediately escalated the case to the FBI. This wasn't a simple missing person anymore. This was a serial predator operation, possibly trafficking, possibly worse. We need to find her within 48 hours, Morrison told her lieutenant that night. After that, the statistics get very bad, very fast. While detectives worked the case in New York, Maya was waking up again in the shipping container. Her second time regaining consciousness, though she'd lost all sense of time. Hours had passed, maybe a full day. She couldn't tell. The zip ties on her wrists had rubbed her skin raw. Her shoulders screamed from being pulled back for so long. The gag was still in her mouth, now soaked with saliva and making it hard to breathe. But she was alive. That counted for something. The container had been moved again. She'd been conscious for the last movement, feeling the lurch and sway as a crane or forklift repositioned her prison. She'd heard more voices, more banging on the sides. She was starting to understand what was happening. She was cargo. She was being shipped somewhere. The container wasn't just a prison. It was transportation. The question was, where? Maya had read articles about human trafficking. She knew the statistics, knew that thousands of women disappeared every year into forced labor or sex work. She'd always thought those stories happened to other people, women from other countries, women without resources or family. She'd never imagined it could happen to an American girl with a phone and friends and a mother who knew where she was. Except her mother didn't know where she was. Neither did Jade. They knew she'd gone to a studio in Red Hook, but the studio was a fake, and she was currently lying in a shipping container that could be anywhere within a 100-mile radius of New York City. She could be at a port, a warehouse, a truck depot, anywhere. The container shuddered again. This time, the movement was different, smoother, constant, like they were on a vehicle now, not being lifted, a truck. She was on a truck, being driven somewhere. Maya forced herself to think clearly. She couldn't break the zip ties. She couldn't remove the gag. She couldn't call for help. But she could try to keep track of the movement, of the turns, of anything that might tell her where she was going. She closed her eyes and focused on the sensation of movement. The truck was moving at highway speed now, steady and straight. They drove for what felt like hours. Maya counted in her head, trying to estimate distance. Then the truck slowed. More turns. Stop and go traffic. They were in a city or town now. The truck stopped completely. The engine cut off. Doors slammed. Voices again, English this time. American accents. "Which one's the special delivery?" a man's voice asked. "This one here," another voice answered. "Reichert said handle it personal." "Yeah, I know. He's paying extra for the discretion." "Discretion, right? That's what we're calling it now." Harsh laughter. The container shifted again. Being unloaded, the sensation of being lifted moved, then set down hard. The impact rattled Maya's teeth. Footsteps on metal. Someone was climbing onto the container. Maya's heart hammered. A sound of metal on metal, a lock being removed. The door started to open. Light flooded in, blinding after so long in darkness. Maya squeezed her eyes shut against the sudden brightness. "There she is," a male voice said. "Still alive. Good. He wants them fresh." Rough hands grabbed her, lifted her. She was being dragged out of the container into open air. She tried to fight, but her bound limbs made it impossible. She was dead weight, being hauled across concrete. She opened her eyes, squinting. Industrial warehouse, high ceilings, stacks of shipping containers, no windows she could see. She was dropped on the ground. The concrete was cold against her skin. "Clean her. Up," the first voice said. "He'll be here in an hour." Someone cut the zip ties on her ankles, then her wrists. The sudden freedom hurt worse than the binding. Her arms fell uselessly to her sides, numb and screaming. The gag was ripped off. Maya gasped, gulping air. "Where am I?" she croaked. Her voice was barely there. "Doesn't matter," one of the men said. She couldn't see his face. He was backlit by the warehouse lights. "You're leaving again soon anyway." "Please," Maya tried. "I have family. They're looking for me. If you let me go, I won't." "Everyone has family," the man interrupted. "Everyone's looking. Doesn't matter. You made your choice when you showed up to that studio alone." He walked away. She heard footsteps, then a door opening and closing. Maya tried to stand. Her legs wouldn't hold her. She collapsed back to the concrete, shaking. She was alone in the warehouse. Alone except for the rows and rows of shipping containers stacked 3 high. How many of them held people like her? How many contained women who'd trusted the wrong person, who'd made the wrong choice, who'd needed money badly enough to ignore their instincts? She crawled toward the nearest wall. Every muscle in her body protested. She made it maybe 10 feet before she had to stop, breathing hard. A phone. She needed to find a phone, an exit, a weapon, anything. But the warehouse was empty. Just concrete and metal and the industrial smell of diesel and rust. She was going to die here. Or worse. Much worse. "I can't give up," she whispered to herself. "Mom is looking for me. Jade is looking for me. The police are looking for me." She hoped that was true. She had to believe it was true. Because if no one was looking, she was already gone. Detective Morrison wasn't sleeping. 48 hours had passed since Maya Chen disappeared, and Morrison had spent every waking moment on the case. The FBI had joined the investigation, bringing resources and jurisdiction that NYPD didn't have. They'd identified the 7 other women who'd agreed to meet David Reichert for photo shoots. 6 of them were fine. They'd either canceled last minute or David had canceled on them. One had gone to the shoot, but gotten scared when she arrived at the building and saw how isolated it was. She'd made an excuse and left. David hadn't followed her. The 7th woman was missing. Disappeared 3 months earlier. Seattle. Same MO. Model mayhem message. Professional-looking photographer profile. Empty studio space that reeked of bleach. Her name was Jennifer Soto. 21 years old. Aspiring model. last seen entering a building in an industrial area of Seattle on June 15, 2023. She was never found. We're dealing with a serial trafficker. The FBI agent assigned to the case, Marcus Webb, told the team. This guy has been operating for at least 6 months, probably longer. He's sophisticated. He builds fake professional identities, rents spaces through shell companies, cleans crime scenes thoroughly. He knows what he's doing. Webb pulled up a map on the screen. Seattle in June. Now New York in September. That's a pattern. Different cities, 3 months apart. He's mobile. He's probably hitting other cities we don't know about yet. Morrison studied the map. Where would he take them? That's the question. Trafficking operations need infrastructure. Safe houses, transportation networks, buyers. This isn't one guy working alone. He's part of something bigger. Morrison's phone rang. Private number. She answered anyway. Detective Morrison? A male voice, nervous. I think I might have information about your missing girl, the one from Red Hook. Morrison sat up straight. Who is this? I work at Atlantic Container Terminal in Newark. I saw something this morning. Something that didn't feel right. What did you see? A shipping container came in late last night. No manifest, no proper paperwork. Just a rushed delivery note. I was on the overnight shift, helping with unloading. When we moved it, I heard someone inside, like knocking or kicking. Morrison was already grabbing her keys. What's the container number? TCLU 384-725E6. It's still here. It's supposed to be picked up this afternoon by a private truck. But Detective, I wasn't supposed to say anything. The guy who arranged the delivery, he paid extra for discretion. If he finds out I called, where exactly is the container right now? Yard 7, row F, position 12. But you need to hurry. The pickup is scheduled for 2 p.m. Morrison checked her watch. It was 12:30. We're on our way. Don't let anyone move that container. She hung up and yelled across the office. I've got a location, Newark Port. We need to move now. Maya heard the engines before she heard the voices. Heavy vehicles pulling into the warehouse. Multiple trucks from the sound of it. She'd spent the last hour trying to find a way out. Every door was locked. Every window was too high to reach. The warehouse was a concrete box designed to keep things in, and it was working perfectly. She'd found a piece of metal near one of the container stacks. A bracket or fastener, something that had fallen off during loading. It wasn't much, but it was something. She gripped it in her fist, the only weapon she had. The warehouse door opened. 4 men walked in. One of them was David Reichert. He looked different. His hair was dyed darker. He wore glasses now, but it was definitely him. That same calm, clinical expression. There you are, he said, like he'd just found a misplaced package. I was worried they'd damaged you in transit. Maya backed against the wall, holding the metal bracket behind her back. Stay away from me. David smiled. Or what? You'll fight? Please. You can barely stand. He was right. Her legs were shaking. Her body was exhausted from the drug, the binding, the terror of the last 48 hours. Why are you doing this? She asked. Keep him talking. That's what they said in the documentaries. Keep them talking, buy time. Money, obviously, David said. You were going to make $500 for 4 hours. I'm making $50,000 for delivering you. That's the market rate for young, attractive American girls with no criminal record. Your clean background adds value. $50,000. She was worth $50,000 to whoever was buying her. There are people looking for me, Maya said. The police are looking in the wrong place, David interrupted. They're searching Red Hook. They're running my fake name through databases. They're probably checking airports and bus stations. Meanwhile, you've been traveling by shipping container through commercial freight networks. Completely untraceable. One of the other men cleared his throat. We need to move her. The buyer's waiting. David nodded. Right. Let's get her cleaned up and transferred. Two of the men started toward Maya. She pulled out the metal bracket and swung it wildly. Don't touch me! The metal connected with one man's arm. He yelped and stepped back. She's got something. David sighed. Just grab her, she's exhausted. They rushed her together. Maya fought, but David was right. She was weak, shaking, barely able to stand. They overpowered her in seconds, pinning her arms and dragging her toward another shipping container. No, not again. She couldn't survive another container. She couldn't. FBI, freeze! The shout came from everywhere at once. Suddenly, the warehouse was full of people. Agents in tactical gear flooding through doors Maya hadn't even known existed. Red laser sights painting the walls. Drop her! Hands up! Now! The men holding Maya released her immediately. She collapsed to the concrete. The world was spinning again, but this time from relief, not drugs. David Reichert, real name Pavel Volkov, you're under arrest, a voice announced. Trafficking, kidnapping, conspiracy. Get on the ground, now. Maya watched through blurred vision as they forced David, Pavel, to his knees and cuffed him. As they secured the other men, as more agents flooded in, securing the warehouse, checking the other containers, a woman knelt beside her. Maya Chen, I'm Detective Morrison, NYPD. You're safe now. You're safe. Maya started crying. She couldn't help it. Great, heaving sobs that shook her entire body. We got you, Morrison said softly. It's over. We got you. EMTs arrived within minutes. They checked her vitals, started an IV, loaded her onto a stretcher. As they wheeled her toward the ambulance, Maya saw them opening other containers in the warehouse. 3 more women, all unconscious, all bound, all alive. We found them because of you, Morrison told her later at the hospital. The port worker who called in the tip, he only noticed because of the news coverage. Your case, your face on the news, made him pay attention. You saved 3 other women today, Maya. The trial took 8 months to reach verdict. Pavel Volkov, the man who'd called himself David Reichert and a dozen other names, was convicted on 47 counts of trafficking, kidnapping, and conspiracy. He received life in prison without possibility of parole. The FBI investigation uncovered a trafficking network that spanned 12 states and connected to international criminal organizations. 23 people were arrested. The network had been operating for 4 years and had trafficked over 60 women. Maya Chen testified at the trial. She spoke for 2 hours, detailing every moment of her ordeal. The jury was in tears by the time she finished. I wanted them to understand that we're not statistics, Maya said in an interview after the verdict. We're not just numbers in a trafficking report. We're real people with families and dreams and lives. I was trying to build a career. I was trying to make something of myself, and that almost killed me. Jennifer Soto, the woman from Seattle, was never found. Neither were 11 others who disappeared in the same pattern across different cities. The FBI believes they were transported overseas before the network was discovered. Maya never modeled. She went back to Ohio, finished her degree, and became a victim's advocate. She now travels the country speaking to young women about the dangers of the modeling industry and how to recognize trafficking schemes. I was lucky, she tells audiences. I was incredibly, impossibly lucky. there are hundreds of women who weren't, who are still trapped, who are still suffering. That's why I tell my story, because maybe if one person hears it and makes a different choice, if one person sees the warning signs I missed, then what happened to me wasn't for nothing. Susan Chen moved to be closer to her daughter. They see each other every week now. Jade Martinez still lives in New York. She and Maya text every single day. I knew something was wrong, Jade says. I knew it immediately when she didn't check in. Trust that feeling. Always trust that feeling. Detective Morrison retired in 2024 and now consults on trafficking cases nationwide. She keeps a photo of Maya on her desk, smiling at her college graduation. These cases haunt you, Morrison reflects. But the ones you save, those give you hope. Maya gave me hope. The warehouse in Newark was demolished 6 months after the rescue. A community center stands there now, offering job training and support services to trafficking survivors. Container TCLU 3847256 was crushed for scrap metal. But before it was destroyed, Maya asked to see it one more time. She stood in front of it in the salvage yard, staring at the metal walls that had held her captive. I needed to see it small, she explained. I needed to see it as just a thing, not the monster it was in my head. It's just metal, just corrugated steel and rust. It doesn't have power over me anymore. She walked away and never looked back. Today, Maya Chen is 25 years old. She lives in Columbus, works for a nonprofit serving trafficking survivors, and is engaged to a high school teacher she met at a community event. She's planning a small wedding for next spring. She doesn't use social media much anymore, doesn't post photos, doesn't engage with modeling sites or photography groups. But she's alive. She's free. And she makes sure no one forgets the hundreds of women who aren't.